Today I want to explore the heartbeats of an agile organization, the essential conversations that need to happen to enable and empower our agile teams to succeed in their missions and in their contributions to our shared collective goals. But first, a big thank you to Teamico, the sponsor of this episode. Make sure to watch to the end to learn more about their amazing virtual workplace and how it enables spontaneous conversations when you work distributed or have a hybrid remote office setup. Agile teams have ceremonies they repeat: planning, daily stand-ups, retrospectives. And just as an agile team has a heartbeat, a rhythm to their meetings and conversations, so does the whole organization. For example, we discuss and align on long-term strategies that span the organization. We have short-term coordination between teams, but we don't have the same pace for these conversations. The beats of our different pulses differ. Some happens frequently, others less often. A Scrum team might review their roadmaps and long-term goals once a month or maybe even once per quarter. But they do short-term planning, sprint reviews, retrospectives, refine their backlogs way more frequently. Agile means continuous replanning, right? And then we have the daily stand-ups, where we every single day discuss how we need to collaborate in order to move ourselves one step closer to the goal of the sprint. Same goes for the whole organization. Some conversations happens on a monthly or quarterly basis, and some as infrequently as yearly, while others happens regularly, every week or maybe every second week. Even though we have autonomous self-organizing teams, they won't be able to succeed on their missions without support and mechanisms to continuously resolve dependencies and impediments. Before we continue, to get the most out of this video, I suggest you watch two of my earlier videos. This one is about transforming the hierarchical, plan-driven organization to an agile organization, and this one discusses the powers and challenges of having autonomous teams. Link to both videos in the description below, of course. In this episode, I will discuss the promise of the agile team and why we don't always see the promised benefits, i.e., what makes us slow as an organization. I'll briefly touch on our different planning horizons, and then I'll dive deep into the different essential conversations we need to have, our heartbeats. I'll end with some comments on creating clarity on when and where decisions are made, and to wrap it up, I'll propose 2 exercises you can conduct with your colleagues in your organization. If you're using this video as a part of a workshop or a training, I would be super grateful for a contribution. Click the thanks thingy below and choose what you feel is appropriate. If you want to learn more, allow me to promote my one-day course, Alignment and Organizational Rhythms. Besides diving way deeper into the topics, you'll also learn how to apply the concepts and ideas in your organization, given your context, people, and challenges. Don't hesitate to contact me on LinkedIn if you want to discuss the possibility of me running it internally at your company. Awesome, so we have our agile teams. We've been on an agile transformation journey for some time. So why isn't the grass greener? Everything's easy, everyone's happy, the team's more autonomous and self-organizing, and why don't we deliver value at a higher pace? Agile made so many promises. Getting twice the work done in half the time, faster time to market, happier, more motivated people, improved quality, easier to change direction and priorities, just to mention a few. So what makes us slow? A quick side note, how do you even know that you are slow? Who are you comparing with? How do you measure speed? And how do you know that it's not your expectations that are way off? Anyway, let's proceed. Here are 5 slowness culprits. There could obviously be other underlying reasons for slowness, but these are the most common causes according to active agile leadership, which do match with my own experience. Dependencies to other teams, departments, or people. We might be blocked waiting for an approval or a decision, or depending on an expert we don't have access to. Lack of alignment. We strive towards different, vague, long-term goals, or when we have to choose what to do and what not to do, we lack clear guidelines that can help us resolve priority negotiations. Lack of focus. we try to accomplish too much at the same time, tricking us to multitasking and task switching between tasks and projects, both in the team but also as an organization. Lack of continuous improvement. Yesterday's approach to work and problems won't solve our challenges we'll be facing tomorrow. If we don't continuously challenge status quo, experiment and try new things, we miss opportunities to simplify, automate, and to become faster. And finally, stress and fear will cause dishonesty, promote playing it safe, protectionism, and conformity. A really unhealthy, demotivating, and unproductive environment. How do we address this? Obviously, there is no silver bullet, but there are so many things we can do to unblock our teams and talented people, and to align our efforts and work towards shared goals. Allow me to start with exploring our different planning horizons. As I stated earlier, being agile means continuous planning and replanning, and this actually happens on multiple time perspectives simultaneously. First, we have our vision and mission. What does the future look like? And how do we fit into that future? Who do we aspire to be? And what do we strive for? Our audacious goal, a guiding star. And what's our overarching strategy to get there? What's the mission we embark upon? Then we have our strategic long-term company goals, ambitious things we want to achieve that we believe will propel us towards our vision. They invite us to align our efforts and guide us when choosing what not to do. To focus our efforts, we formulate mid-term plans. A common approach are quarterly OKRs, for example. Some way of making our ambitious plans and goals concrete for the next few months. Agreeing on these midterm goals invites to priority negotiations, clarifying of dependencies, and discussions regarding what's reasonable and achievable. And then we have the teams, with their sprint plans and sprint goals, describing work and their next increment of their service or product. All these three planning horizons exist in parallel. They are discussed, evaluated, and changes over time. However, not everything we do in a sprint is related to quarterly OKRs or business targets. An autonomous empowered product team has their own mission, keep the lights on work, monitors production, conducts experiments and discovery, future-proofs their architecture and data, and so on, and contributes to collective outcomes and bigger overarching goals. A good strategic and planning framework can connect those efforts and answer the question, how does the work in the sprint relate to the midterm and long-term plan? Getting together as leaders and managers on a weekly basis is a fundamental habit, but only talking about here and now is not enough. Even though teams are autonomous, self-organize, have end-to-end ownership, do Scrum, etc., they still need support from the organization and its leaders, and guidance in prioritization and alignment. A crucial habit for leadership on all layers is to regularly meet and talk about operational matters, here and now, but to also look beyond, into the future, review and reevaluate our long-term strategies, explore future risks and concerns, discuss what support or coaching team and people needs, reflect on recent achievements, results and failures, and to grow and improve our own leadership skills, just to mention a few conversations. But if all we have is the weekly leadership meeting where we bring up urgent topics and problems, we will rarely or never have time for the really important conversations beyond here and now. As a reaction to this, we might go off on a leadership offsite once a year where we try to cover all the things we didn't allocate space and time for during normal work. Alignment is to be achieved, share progress and achievements, set targets and goals, discuss leadership and values, network and build relationships and team spirit, and so forth. These are not one-off conversations. They need to happen continuously in a structured manner. So, here comes my attempt of painting a picture of all the essential conversations we need to have across the organization. Our heartbeats. It all starts with our vision and mission. But this is not a one-off effort. The future is always in motion. So from time to time, we need to reflect and evaluate our place in that future. What's our current direction? Which are our current overarching strategies that we believe will move us into that future faster than our competitors? The vision and mission might be something that the founder, CEO, or leadership team reviews on a yearly basis. Or when our world surprises us with dramatic change, such as pandemics, wars, or leaps in AI technology. Events like these will force us to reevaluate our strategy and direction. Maybe the most important work of a company's leadership is to communicate the mission and vision over and over. Explain the rationale, the why, and reasons behind changes of directions. Communication, clarity, and transparency is crucial for autonomy to work. Another essential conversation that needs to happen is how we translate our mission, vision, and direction into strategic mid-term plans and goals. What's our business targets for this year? Which KPIs do we significantly want to move this quarter? We might have quarterly big room plannings, where we collaboratively align roadmaps and goals between teams and departments. Or perhaps we engage in quarterly OKR exercises. This understanding, and of course continuous dialogues with stakeholders and customers, informs the Agile team's discussions during backlog refinements, shapes their plans and goals for the sprint. But teams don't operate in total isolation. 100% autonomy is unrealistic and unachievable. They need input and support from other teams, leadership, and the organization, help to resolve problems and impediments, here and now. We might have the weekly management meeting, ensuring issues and problems have proper attention, addressing and resolving obstacles for ongoing deliveries. Teams might meet for a weekly dependency resolution meeting. We might have a bi-weekly stand-up in front of our department's OKR board, where we review progress and address blockers. Another crucial framework we need is one that enables alignment and coordination of prioritized cross-company projects, sometimes referred to as company bets or key initiatives. Not everything can be accomplished by a single team. Some projects requires coordinated efforts and contributions from across the organization and departments. Who leads these cross-company efforts? How is progress and work visualized? How does it relate to other work a team plans for in a sprint? And where and how do we discuss non-product long-term strategies, such as aligning on strategy for technical architecture, design, data, quality, and test automation? Do we have forums with decision mandate, an RFC process? And how does these conversations and decisions feed into each team's planning and priorities? And as we all know, no plan survives contact with tomorrow. Some things take longer than anticipated, and needs might change due to external events. When we have to reprioritize, choose what to do and what not to do, where and how does these priority negotiations take place? Who participates? Who decides when we can't agree? We usually have no shortage of ways to communicate to a team what's important and what we expect them to do. But what about the communication in the other direction? Where and when is the health, needs and concerns of the team listened to? I sadly often found this essential conversation absent in many organizations. I would recommend you to try out one of these 3 patterns. Leadership Trio, or as Spotify calls it, a potluck. The closest active leaders to a team meets weekly to discuss how the team is doing and how they and the organization can support the team. Typically consists of the product owner, an engineering manager or chapter lead, and an agile coach or scrum master. A size of 3 is in my experience optimal. A link for further reading can be found in the description below. TAPS. The team meets with leadership and management 2 levels up, once every or every second month. If this becomes an interrogation or a status update, you're doing it wrong. It should feel like a check-in, a tap on the shoulder, a place to raise concerns and needs, to ask for feedback and guidance, an opportunity to challenge, and an invite to be challenged. and once or twice a year, complement with team health checks, maybe more known as Spotify's squad health checks. A team health check is a retrospective format, a self-evaluation workshop, in which the team express how they feel they're doing on a wide variety of topics such as collaboration, value of what is delivered, ability to influence, received organizational support, etc. The result generates insights and commitment to actions of improvement for both the team and the supporting leadership, especially when reviewing trends over time. Once again, link to further reading in the description below. Many of these essential conversations helps existing teams plan and prioritize. But where and when do we discuss the way we mobilize ourselves? Do we have the right teams with the right missions? Should teams be split, combined? Where should we hire? And what about ownership? Which team should own what? And how do we draw our decision mandate boundaries? This is a crucial conversation to have in order to continuously reduce dependencies between teams and to mobilize ourselves to succeed with the ambitions of our future. Our picture is becoming pretty colorful already, but we have 3 more essential conversations to cover. Where and when do we sharpen our skills and mastery, learn from each other, discuss and agree on best practices, develop our engineering culture, agree upon standards and golden paths, debate what should be optional, recommended or mandatory. Some common carriers of these conversations are community of practices, chapters and guilds. We might meet locally for each office every month, or at yearly conferences using the open space format, or run book clubs or seminars. Perhaps a subset of the community of practice constitutes a committee with mandate to approve RFCs. At the core of Agile, we have inspect and adapt, right? Where and when do we do that? Each team runs retrospectives. Great! But that's not the thing I'm referring to. Where do we as an organization reflect, review, inspect and adapt? Take a step back and zoom out. Is our way of working, our processes, our roles, our collaboration tools, our choices of visualization, etc., helping us or hindering us? And finally, if we want to propose big changes to the way we work and the way we structure ourselves, that impacts beyond the team or departments, where does that conversation happen? Where do we discuss how all these essential conversations happen and who is involved? Does this picture describe something absolute? Is it a simple recipe for you to follow to resolve your organizational alignment dysfunctions? Of course not. It's merely my attempt to simplify and condense something very complex into a single image. I, however, hope it somehow feels true and that it inspires you to see opportunities and possibilities for change or improvements. There's a reason to why I, throughout this episode, have talked about when and where conversations happen, as opposed to who makes this or that decision. In Agile organizations, we have a lot of distributed decision-making going on. Being transparent and offer clarity on where and when decisions are made, what is discussed by whom, is very important in order to create trust in the organization. The opposite, secrecy, vague or opaque management processes, creates distrust, nurtures conspiracy theories of hidden politics, and promotes protectionism. So, create clarity. For teams, what's their decision mandate? What do they own? What are they responsible for long term? And on what questions do they want to be consulted? Other conversations and decisions happens in meetings by those who attend. Some meetings are exclusive for leadership at a certain level or in a specific department, others for experts in certain domains. Some have participants who have been nominated, others are open for everyone who wants to join, or a combination of the above. And even though we as an Agile organization strongly believes in distributed ownership and decision making, we still might choose to reserve some specific decisions to a single role or a single person. Regardless, create clarity on where and when decisions are made. Once captured and described, it can be discussed and challenged. and we might learn that some essential conversations happens ad hoc, or not at all. Brilliant! Free insights to act upon if we so choose to. But regardless of if the decision is owned by a team, a meeting, or a role, agree on how to communicate decisions and the rationale behind them. Town halls, Slack channels, emails, so that they can be discussed. Feedback can be offered and the rationale challenged. Allow me to end this episode with suggesting 2 exercises you can run with your leadership colleagues. Recreate this picture on a whiteboard or import it into Miro, Mural, or your favorite collaboration tool of choice. Start with explaining it, then proceed to individually rate which conversations you feel happen in a structured manner. Mark those with a green star. Which happens ad hoc. Mark those with a yellow chat bubble. And which are missing or absent. Mark those with a red cross. Then compare, reflect, and discuss together. Or make an inventory of your meetings on company level and department level and in non-team local forums. List their names, cadence, who attends and their purpose, and map them against the essential conversations. Maybe categorize them as in the example next to me, but change the headings into categories that makes sense for you. Or why not start from scratch? Explore possible other forums and meetings with alternative sets of participants, simplifying coverage of the most important conversations in an inclusive manner. Good luck and have fun! Are you working remotely and miss the sense of belonging an office can offer? Now there's a way to feel part of an office culture and catch up with your colleagues, all without ever needing to schedule a meeting or send a calendar link. Teamico is a virtual online office, a digital home for your team, department, or even for your whole company. Accessible by app, browser, or your mobile phone. You design your own layout, create rooms, decorate and configure the rooms and spaces according to your different needs. You can even add company branding for that professional feeling. Teamico becomes your shared home where you hang out during your workday. You move yourself around, just as in a real office, between collaborative spaces, meeting rooms, the kitchen, people's desks, and rooms for private conversations or secluded calls. Move yourself around by clicking where you want to go, and best of all is how frictionless communication and collaboration becomes. You don't have to book a video meeting, fiddle with the calendar. No, when you enter a room, you're automatically added to the video conference of that room. Just switch on your audio camera if you wish to participate. Feel for a social break? Signal that you would like some company and chit-chat by entering the kitchen. As soon as people join you, their feed pops up automatically and you folks can catch up on all the latest office gossip. Once logged into the office, you get an instant overview of everything that's happening and where everyone is at. You can pretty much design the office any way that works for your team in terms of size, branding, and room names. There's a lot of decorations and features to make the place cozy, and special objects for celebrating team wins, birthdays, etc. There's also seasonal objects for times like Easter and Christmas. Teamico removes that remote work feeling where you feel insecure about reaching out to others. Never feel as though you're interrupting a teammate again. Meet for after-work team drinks and get-togethers, or simply work in silence together while you listen to music or a podcast together. And team collaboration using video is super efficient. You can simplify and speed up decision-making with the use of polls, raise your hand to vote, or to ask quick questions. React with in-call emojis. Some of the amazing features include dual screen sharing and integration with Google Calendar. And there are plenty more. Find out for yourself. Head on over to teamico.com and try it for free with your team for 14 days. Link below. Thank you, my wonderful Patreons. Your support means everything to me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and please help me to become more visible here on YouTube by clicking that like button. And here besides me are 2 more videos that I can strongly recommend. Explore, have fun, be safe.